Your home computer may have all the bells and whistles, but it's still a model of inefficiency. After all, computers spend most of their time unused, and even when they are in use, they generally use only a fraction of their processing power. But now a handful of companies are interested in using that extra power, and they will pay you for it. It's part of a rapidly developing technology that could change the way computers work. Scott Cohn has our story.
Susan Adler is helping find a cure for cancer. Actually, her computer is.
I wouldn't have ever believed that this was a possible use of my own computer.
While she goes about her job as a research administrator at the University of California, San Francisco, and even after she leaves, a little software program running in the background is computing the effect of individual molecules on the proteins that cause cancer. Thousands of other computer users are running the program too, testing millions of molecules, part of a cancer research project run by Oxford University and funded by chipmaker Intel, a project researchers would never even have attempted before. In 4 months, the project has logged roughly 32,000 years worth of computing time. The concept is called distributed computing, tying individual computers together to create one big one. It's been used before to listen for signals from outer space and to crack computer encryption codes. But the internet could take distributed computing to a whole new level.
You're on this curve that is exponential, and now all of a sudden it's potentially hyper exponential, because it's not just a cluster of machines anymore. It's hundreds of thousands of machines inside a large enterprise that can all be turned on to simultaneously do this research.
Ed Hubbard is CEO of United Devices in Austin, Texas, one of a handful of companies trying to turn distributed computing into a moneymaker.
It changes the nature of what scientists will do. They'll no longer think of trying to limit the scope of a particular computational job. Now they'll actually look at a scope that's completely exhaustive, and maybe even things they wouldn't have tested before that they now can test quite easily.
United Devices developed the software for the cancer project. Now it's trying to get companies to tap into the technology and its giant network of computer users. The United Devices network brings together some 800,000 personal computers around the world. That is roughly 5 times the processing power of the most powerful supercomputer on Earth, at a fraction of the cost. So biotech companies are looking into distributed computing. Web hosting companies are using it to test their capacity. Even Wall Street firms are using it to test financial models. United Devices engineer David McNett, who helped pioneer distributed computing, says the possibilities are almost limitless.
I think where this heads is an open market for CPU cycles or any computer-related resource.
But there are still some problems. Because the technology uses the internet, security is a constant concern. United Devices' system is encrypted using a computer that's kept in a concrete vault. Then there's the issue of convincing people to let an outsider tap into their computer. So some companies are offering incentives, cash, and prizes. Susan Adler in San Francisco just won 50,000 airline miles.
I'm going to visit my family in New York. Because it's a long round trip from California.
But once the bugs are worked out, proponents of distributed computing say the potential is enormous. Computing power no longer a function of how big a machine you can afford. Instead, the vision goes, it'll work like electricity. Just plug into the grid and take the power you need. Now the race is on to become the power company. Scott Cohn, CNBC Business Center, Austin, Texas.